What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome back to another Should You Pull video, where I give you my opinions for upcoming banners coming to the global version of the game. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at Act 2 Chapter 10 banner, which features Vaan's LD and Burst weapon. In this particular banners, one of the banners will also feature a new character, which you can get his 1535 and his EX weapon, which is going to be Gabranth. Now, before we do start, like always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help this channel, especially if you do like the content that I make. Now, without further ado, let's start this video. Okay, so we'll start this video off with Gabranth's abilities with all his passives. Now, his first ability is called Circle of Judgment and will have a total of 7 uses. It's going to be a 4-hit AoE melee brave plus single target HP attack, and will have a 180% max brave overflow limit. This will increase the party's brave by 20% of the HP damage dealt, and will grant 6 turns of Judge Magister buff. This will increase the brave damage dealt when attacking a single target, and the Judge Magister buff basically raises the party's max brave attack by 40% and lowers the party's brave damage taken by 30%. This will not stack as well. Now, when he's attacking a target afflicted with Mark of Guilt or Felon's Imprint, this target will get a 6 turns of attack down and defense down. Now, when the party takes brave or HP damage while Judge Magister is active, the attacking enemy will have 6 turns of that Mark of Guilt and Judge's Sentence. So basically, Judge's Sentence is going to lower their max brave by 20%, and Mark of Guilt will lower their attack by 20% and will deal brave damage by 40% of their initial brave. Think of it as something along the lines as sap or poison. And this will become Felon's Imprint when the target is afflicted with 4 or more debuffs. Now, Felon's Imprint is basically a much better version of Mark of Guilt. Basically, this will lower their attack by 40% and will deal brave damage by 80% of their initial brave. And this also increases the HP damage taken they take by 10%. However, this will revert back to Mark of Guilt when the afflicted will have less than 4 debuffs. Now, while he does have the Judge Magister buff up, he will have access to both a Brave Attack Plus and HP Attack Plus. Now, the Brave Attack Plus basically is going to be a 2-hit melee Brave Attack and will afflict the target with 6 turns of attack down and defense down, as long as they are inflicted with a Mark of Guilt or Felon's Imprint. The HP attack is pretty much the same. This is going to be a 2-hit melee brave plus HP attack, and will also have the same type of debuff as the Brave Attack Plus. Now, let's talk about his second ability called Execution. This will have a total of 8 uses and will increase the brave by 20% of the max brave before attacking, and will do a 6-hit melee brave plus HP attack, and this will have a 180% max brave overflow limit. Now, when he's attacking a target afflicted with Felon's Imprint, this will have a re-break ability and will deal a total of 70% splash damage to non-targets. Now guys, before we move on to Gabranth EX, there is something that I would like to just, I suppose, highlight to you guys, and that is going to be the different number of extra uses that is printed in Dissidia DB versus the videos that I've seen. And this is the same with the one in the Reddit post, where they actually have different extra uses for the Crystal Passive 55 and his Crystal Passive 60. So I've checked out a few videos and it doesn't really match, so I don't know if this was a mistake on Dissidia DB. And in the Reddit post that I will leave a link in the description below. So just so you guys know, I actually opt out to actually just use the max uses of what I can see in the video. So if you for whatever reason are looked into the Dissidia DB and said, oh, there's 5 uses initially, and then gets 3 extra uses, it doesn't match, you know. So I thought I would just highlight that in case you guys decide to actually take a look at the Dissidia DB and find the information that I'm giving is different. So I just opt out to see the actual gameplay and notice that it is really different. Alright, so with that information out of the way, let's take a look at Gabranth EX, which is called Quickening. This is going to be a 4-hit melee brave plus HP attack delivered 3 times. This will also deal 20% of the total HP damage to non-targets on the final HP attack. And when he's attacking an enemy inflicted with Felon's Imprint, this will have a rebreak status and basically will deal extra 50% HP damage to non-targets as well. Now at 1 out of 3, this will increase the brave damage dealt. At 2 out of 3, this will give him 6 turns of Judge Master after using the EX ability, and at 3 out of 3 will increase its recast speed. Now if you do decide to realize this weapon at 0 out of 3 when using the Quickening, this will increase the Brave potency and will increase the max Brave overflow limit as well. At 1 out of 3, this will raise his max Brave and attack by 40%. Now at 2 out of 3, when the quest starts, he will have 6 turns of Judge Magister, and when the battle starts, all targets will be afflicted with 6 turns of Mark of Guilt and Judge's Sentence. And finally, at 3 out of 3, when using Quickening, this will now become a 5-hit melee brave plus HP attack delivered 3 times, and will have an increase in potency and increasing the brave by 20% of the HP damage dealt after the first and second HP attack. This will increase the stolen brave overflow limit by another 30%. It will also have access to his Brave Attack plus plus and HP Attack plus plus as long as Judge Magister buff is up. This will be a 3-hit melee brave attack, and again will apply the attack and defense down as long as the target is afflicted with Mark of Guilt or Felon's Imprint, and the HP Attack plus plus basically will add a HP attack at the end of the 3-hit melee brave attack, and will have a 120% max brave overflow as well as applying those debuffs as well, just like in his brave attack plus plus. Now the bonus sphere for this one is going to be critical resist all short when dealing a critical hit. This will lowers the party's brave damage taken by 10% for 3 turns. Alright guys, so after hearing all this information regarding Gabranth's abilities and his EX, and of course his realization, how much ingot should you be investing in Gabranth if you do decide you want to use him moving forward? Honestly, for me, I think 3 out of 3 is the way to go for Gabranth because of both longevity and DPS reasons. Basically increasing the amount of brave hits he has, you know, even though it's just 1 per HP attack, it's still a big factor overall if you add it all up. Plus the stolen overflow, brave overflow is actually pretty nice, a extra 30%, making it a total of 150% max brave overflow limit. Now the longevity reasons are basically better brave attack and of course better HP attack plus plus, which is I think the most important one out of everything. Now the only reason why I feel like Gabranth is drew the short stick of this is because honestly he didn't come out with his LD. So a lot of new characters now are coming out with their LD, so it's a bit of a head scratcher why he didn't actually get an LD in this release. I can understand having Vaan's LD here now, so that's why they didn't actually release his, but I don't know. I think it would have been well worth having his LD. It doesn't make him useless. I think he's still a great tank in a way, especially with those debuffs, and he will actually work well with other debuffers, because 2 of his debuffs are actually just your generic debuffs, so they can be replaced by something along the lines of frame debuffs. For example, maybe Shantoto or someone else that will have more debuffs. The only thing is you have to make sure that the debuffs that your characters do apply that is with him doesn't exceed like 4 frame debuffs, or else his own debuffs he won't be able to apply his own debuffs. That's the only thing. So in the end, I think he got the short end of this banner because he didn't get his LD alongside this. I would have probably liked it if one of the banners actually featured his LD and the other banner featured Vaan's LD, but I think it was a little bit too early during the LD and the burst era, so they didn't want to release 2 LDs in one go. So, you know, I guess that's a marketing reason. But nonetheless, he is still a pretty good character. Of course, he has his realization. I would have just liked it if he actually had his LD. He did get his LD recently in the JP version, so it's still a long way. But I mean, if he's not a favorite character, I think he is kind of passable until his LD comes later down the track. Okay guys, let's move on to Vaan's LD, which gives him the ability called Earthen Eruption. This will have 2 uses and will do a 8-hit AoE Magic Brave attack plus AoE HP attack. This will have a 200% Max Brave Overflow and will do split HP damage, and will grant him 2 turns of Quickening Cartridge. Basically, while this buff is active, he will not consume any of his ability usage. This is, however, excluding his LD ability, of course, because that would be too broken. Now, at 1 out of 3, this will raise his attack by 20% and increasing the brave damage dealt by 10%. At 2 out of 3, again increasing his attack by another 20% and extends the Quickening Cartridge duration by 1. And finally, at 3 out of 3, this will raise his attack even further by another 20% and will increase the usage of the Earthen Eruption. So now let's take a look at his burst, which will give him the ability called Calamitous Orb, which is going to be a 12-hit Magic Brave attack plus HP attack. This will have a maximum of Brave damage limit, increasing it by 150%, and a maximum HP damage limit by 200%. Now the burst effect for this one is actually pretty interesting. This will be a 4-turn party-wide buff. Their own Brave will not drop below 20% of their max Brave. If this does drop below 20%, it will not decrease any further. Now the same character's burst effects do not stack. Alright guys, so let's take a look at what I think of Vaan's LD and burst. Now, Vaan's LD retries to fix one of his biggest problems from the very beginning. Basically the lack of ability usage, or basically he was running out of steam or gas very quickly. His previous rework actually tried to fix this a little bit, giving him a little bit more buffs and giving him a good HP attack plus with his realization, but he still kind of ran out of gas pretty quickly. With his LD, this actually really fixes this problem. However, the other problem still remains, which is that he has too many elemental attacks. I've said this multiple times. That is my only flack for Vaan, and he doesn't have any sort of self-imperil that he can apply to enemies, which is kind of interesting in a way. A lot of characters, I mean, Alisei can do it, how come Vaan can't? I wish they would actually just give him some sort of imperil, so it actually just makes him worth actually using and actually worth really investing on him as well. Now his burst effect is actually pretty interesting as well. Like I mentioned, I do really like the burst effect where their own Brave will not drop below 20%. So basically you can use your HP attack plus or whatever it is, and sort of still feels kind of safe that you will probably not get broken you know, later down the track or on the next turn. Hopefully you have some sort of tank or something anyway, or if you do have Gabranth with you, you know, he can reduce the brave amount that damage that you are going to be taking. So the chances of you getting broken with Vaan's burst is going to be lowered. So that is a nice party effect. Now, I do have a warning that Vaan's burst, like the actual burst, is only going to be single target attack, so there's no splash damage or anything like that. However, this is going to be a very, very strong single target attack damage. So just do note that if you are expecting some sort of splash or something like that, it is not a splash burst attack. So it is a single target, but it is a very, very strong single target attack. Okay guys, so we're towards the end of this video, and the final question remains, should you pull? With this one, I gotta say, if you're gonna pull on this, just chase Vaan's LD, not his burst. If you do get his burst straight away, that's great. If Vaan is your favorite, I suggest chasing for the LD, because again, like I said previously, this actually fixes one of his biggest problems previously, which was just the lack of ability usage, or he just runs out of steam. I guess he has quite a bit of ability usage, it's just that he just runs out very, very quickly. Like I said, this was tried, his rework tried to fix this, especially with his realization. He sort of had gotten an HP attack plus, so it sort of helped, but a lot of his real damage really comes from his abilities. So his LD really fixes this. So if you're gonna pull on this banner, I do highly suggest chasing for his LD, not his burst. Now in terms of Gabranth, since he is featured in one of the banners, I would say, I mean, I would pass on him if he's not your favorite. If he's not a favorite character, I would suggest really, if you get his kit, that's great along the way when you're chasing for Vaan's LD. That's great, but I wouldn't go out of my way trying to get his EX or his 15 or his 35 CP, whatever the case may be, whatever you get, because he just doesn't have his LD, and I think it's probably well worth chasing for him when his LD comes out later on. The only thing is that his LD doesn't come out till quite a bit later. So I guess if you do, again, if he is not your favorite, it is going to be later down the track. But if he is a favorite character, I suggest you go ahead and pick up his kit, so you don't have to worry about it when his LD comes around. Now, in terms of the Vaan's burst weapon, it is going to be featured later in 2 more extra banners. One is on Machina's banner, Lost Chapter banner, and one in the Triple EX banner that is coming out with Arciela. So I do highly suggest looking a little bit ahead. Arciela is still a very, very good character to pick up. So if you missed out on her previously, I think you might want to chase for Vaan's burst on that banner. Especially if you're in a situation where, oh, I got his LD really quickly. Do I chase for his burst? Do I have Arciela? Do I have Leon? Do I have Vivi? You know, do I have Machina? Do I like Machina and stuff like that? I do highly suggest looking a little bit ahead. For me personally, if I get Vaan's LD really quickly, I will be looking forward to actually picking his burst up, if anything, on the Triple EX banner. I personally don't have Vivi's EX nor Leon's EX weapon as well, so that is going to be a banner that I am going to be a little bit more interested in, especially Vivi and Leon getting a rework as well. Anyway guys, I think that is it for this video. Please do remember to click like and subscribe once again if you haven't already. It does help this channel, and I really do appreciate all the support that you guys give me. It also helps with the YouTube algorithm, making sure that this video goes out to other Dissidia Opera Omnia players or new players as well that are interested maybe in picking up Dissidia Opera Omnia. Hit the bell button if you don't want to miss any of my videos, and leave down in the comments below, are you going to be after Vaan's LD and Burst in this banner, or are you after Gabranth's kit? Let me know down in the comments below. Or are you one of those few people like me that probably will chase for his LD in these banners and probably look ahead and grab his Burst later down the track, or at least pray that you actually get it. So let me know down in the comments below. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next level.